welcome back to our paint by number how-to video tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to learn a few painting techniques to help you get the most out of your paint by number experience. There really aren't any rules to paint by number. However, my favorite way to approach a project is to paint in number order. I personally think it works best because as colors dry, they darken, and we've strategically numbered our paint colors to avoid confusion between wet and dry paint. This is especially important with skin tones because they're so close together. So if you're working on a kit with skin tones in it or colors that are very similar to each other, it actually is important to paint those colors in number order. If colors are more dissimilar, it really doesn't matter that much. All right, so are you ready to put your brush to canvas? Here we go. So give your first color a stir with a toothpick or with the opposite end of your paintbrush. And then take your 5/0 brush and moisten and reshape the bristles as we discussed in the first tutorial. And then go ahead and dip your brush in the paint about halfway up the length of the bristles. I like to start with outlining the zone first, which is why I use the smallest paintbrush. And make sure when you do that you're actually covering the lines with paint as opposed to just painting right up to the line. You should be able to tell when it's time to reload your brush with paint because the paint application will become uneven. But in general, I redip my brush every few seconds. So once I have a zone outlined, I use the size 2 brush to fill in the zone with paint, pulling the paint from the outline in towards the center. It works best to paint in thin, smooth layers with very even brush strokes. Our paint is really viscous, which means it's pretty thick, so you'll see ridges and streaks as you apply the strokes. The paint does self-level to a certain extent as it dries, but it's helpful to even out the ridges by painting in the same direction and smoothing out the paint with your brush while the paint is still wet. For particularly tight areas or small zones, make sure to start with a clean brush and only a small amount of paint on the tip of the bristles. One thing to know right off the bat is that acrylic paint dries very quickly. So make sure you only use one color at a time and close the paint pots tightly when not in use to avoid the paint drying out. If you do accidentally leave a paint pot open and it dries out, or if you need additional paint or brushes, there are actually instructions in our kit for how to order supplies from our website. And as a reminder from our first tutorial, make sure to wash dry and reshape your brush every few minutes during use, even if you're painting the same color, because this will prevent the paint from building up and drying on the brush, which will make it harder to be precise in painting the small areas. Also make sure to rotate your canvas as needed while you're painting so that you avoid smearing the wet paint as you move from zone to zone. Acrylic paint usually requires 2 coats to eliminate streaks and to fully cover the canvas lines and numbers. You'll like how your painting looks much better after you do your second coat of paint. The paint will dry really quickly, so you can apply your second coat within just a few minutes. I like to paint from top to bottom on one color and then come right back up to the top and apply my second coat. There are some colors, especially the lighter ones, and definitely the very bright colors and the metallics that might require a 3rd or even 4th coat so that the numbers don't show through, and that's just normal for those specific paints. My personal preference is to finish the first and second coat of a color before moving on to the next number. I find it more satisfying to complete the second coat before moving on so the paint doesn't look streaky and I get a better sense of how it's going to look when my project is finished. In our next tutorial, I'm going to share some tips for how to fix mistakes. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it, and you will make mistakes, and that's perfectly fine. If you found this video helpful today, please like it and subscribe to our channel by clicking the button below. And if you haven't already, join our email list through our website so you can receive exclusive coupons available only to our subscribers. Thanks for watching and happy painting!